a lot of people's mental health has been affected due to the election. Increased media exposure during the election season can have increased anxiety and stress due to constant news coverage and political debates. So how are you dealing with that? That's why joining me right here live on The Splash, we have clinic director and clinical health psychologist from the Ellie Mental Health. We have Sarah Mendelssohn. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah.
Good morning. Thank you.
We want to just kind of break down how this election and the politics season is affecting people's mental health. We want to take our steps with this. From your perspective personally, how have you seen maybe some of your clients be affected mentally by this political season?
Yeah, it's impacting people greatly. I think I really have the privilege of seeing a variety of people in a diverse population.
Mhm.
So I get to see kind of like the deep thoughts and feelings that a lot of people are going through across, different parties. But I think some of the similarities I'm really noticing are people are afraid. People are really afraid at what the outcomes are and what the
Mhm.
implications are for this election. And really, people are exhausted at this point. They're feeling bombarded by messaging and sometimes confused, unsure of what the other party or candidates' intentions are, what could happen. But also, one of the encouraging things I'm noticing is that there seems to be a lot of shared hope. People seem to want an end to this divisiveness. They want to come together and find more common ground. So, like I said, it's been a privilege to be in the mix to see what people are thinking on this. I think we have more similarities than differences.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's where we need to meet, that common ground area where we all have similarities and not these differences. We understand that this political or election season is not only just affecting our personal mental health, but it's also, let's be honest, it's affecting some relationships with friends
Mhm.
and families and things of that nature. How can someone maintain a healthy relationship with their friends or families who may have different political views from them?
Yeah, that's a big challenge. It's important to have boundaries, to know when you're kind of at your limit with some of these conversations, and to make a choice of, is it more important for me to maintain this relationship and kind of just put this aside and focus on the things that we have in common or the
Hmm.
strengths that we have in our relationship, or do I really want to hammer in my point? And sometimes it's not worth it to get into that argument with people. So knowing where to set those boundaries and how to communicate anger and disagreement in healthy ways. And sometimes people need support with learning how to do that.
Hmm.
Those are the top suggestions I would say.
You know what? I've heard a lot more often that people say we need to go back to the days where people kept their political opinion to themselves, and that's what kept everybody a little bit more happy and more civil and things of that nature. But we are where we are. With that being said, do you have any strategies that you recommend for people who are feeling overwhelmed by the constant election news cycle?
Certainly. Yes, it's a difficult balance because you wanna stay informed and you wanna know what's
Hmm.
going on and be a part of things. You wanna feel like you're making an effort to make a difference, but there's a limit to that. So again, even setting your own personal boundaries, sometimes people will set, like, digital breaks of, I take my 15, 30 minutes in the, morning to catch up on things, and then I'm just trying to tune out for the day and catch up again at night. So setting those digital breaks. Another helpful thing that we're coming to learn is some people have chosen to go to reading their news only instead of consuming
Mm.
visual media. Although it's not pure, it's not like devoid of the manipulations and misinformation. It doesn't give us that same emotional intensity that we get from viewing media. So it can be helpful to just read the news. And then another thing is focusing on factors within your control. Um, what other things you can do. I'm a big fan of going back to the basics. So, am I sleeping enough? Am I eating well? Am I drinking water? Have I been kind of pulling back and neglecting my friendships, my social life, other hobbies and interests? There's this feeling that my life is on hold until this election is done. This anticipation I can't really move forward, and people are kind of losing track of the other things that are important in their lives. So back to basics.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm one of those people too, I'm gonna be honest. I have been getting so many spam text messages, like
Ah,
five. Literally, as we speak, I just got another one. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for November 6th so this can all
Yes.
be over with. I'm one of those people. But join us right here live on The Splash, clinic director and clinical health psychologist from Ellie Mental Health, Sarah Mendelssohn, talking about how we can all better manage our mental health during this political and election season. Now, one question I want to ask, a lot of people are saying this is the most important election of all time. I've been alive long enough to hear that probably every 4 years. Do you see any real difference in pressures from this election than you've seen in other elections?
Yeah, you're right. It's not like this is the first spicy election cycle. Politics is a theater. So
Mm,
this isn't new, but this has been quite an exciting plot. And I think that really this does stand out. It does have a difference compared to other elections. One of the things is there's been so much more buildup and anticipation compared to other election cycles. I mean, just in the past few months, we've had assassination attempts. We've had even like a change in primary candidate selection. So it's almost like watching a sports game and in the past or a big rivalry sports game and in the last few minutes
mm,
there's
mm,
injuries, there's even a player being traded in the middle of the game, and it's just a lot of excitement. So I think that's amping up this sense of anticipation and uncertainty that we're feeling. And really there's fears about outcomes that seem
mm-hmm.
significantly different than
Mm.
previous elections. The American Psychological Association puts out a stress in America report every year. And they just put theirs out for October, in October for 2024. And politics was at the top for things that people are stressed about, along with things like the economy, housing, stuff like that.
Right.
But more than 7 out of 10 adults said that they were significantly stressed about the future of our nation. So it does feel different. And some of the biggest concerns that people are experiencing are they're concerned about the results leading to violence or even
Mm-hmm.
the end of our democracy. So it does feel different. It's real.
It's very, very unfortunate that fear is pushing a lot of, a lot of people's emotions and things of that nature. But like you said, essentially, we just need to get to the point of protecting our mental health. Do what we have to do to get away from it for a little bit, become
Yeah.
ourselves, and then eventually tap back in. One thing I do want to ask you real quick before we let you go. In the event that someone's preference for a candidate does not win, how should they handle that outcome mentally with, accepting the fact that the person that you voted for did not win?
That's a tough one. Yeah. Because we're essentially given a choice. Would you like the red pill or the blue pill? And
Mm,
we make our choice, and then that might not be what we're getting. So it is, yeah, that's difficult. I think it's important for people to take an inventory of themselves to see, am I just struggling to adapt here and I need to take my time to do so? Or am I really noticing a difference in my mood and functioning broadly and
right.
chronically? Is it impacting my relationships, my job, my school? And, maybe at that certain point, people might need some kind of professional support. But ultimately turning to those things, those factors that are within your control, and seeking social support and, connecting with the people that are meaningful in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Do what you have to do to stay grounded and just bring
Mhm.
yourself right back to life and to yourself. We
Yeah.
appreciate you so much for your time, Sarah. Any last words, advice for anyone, general advice regarding mental health or just health in general?
Yeah, just that it's normal to struggle. I think everyone's kind of on the same page right now, and I think we are social creatures, and we are not supposed to do it alone. So if you need support, reach out for some support.
That is a great point, actually. That was a great, great point. I'm so glad you said that. And thank you again for your time and your information. Once again, clinical health psychologist and clinic director for Ellie Mental Health, Sarah Mendelssohn. We appreciate you.
Thank you.